When I arrived with my daughter to meet her fiancé and his family, they opened the door with a smirk and chirped, "Oh, here comes our beggar father-in-law." The groom added, "Hope you're planning to wear a different suit for the wedding. This one looks like it came out of a dumpster." They had no idea that I owned the company they worked for. My response was simple and direct: "You're fired." But that was only the start. Before we go on, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and tell me in the comments what time it is where you are. I dropped 4 quarters into the parking meter and adjusted my old Timex. I'd bought that watch for $3 at a church sale in 1987. It still kept better time than most people's promises. The doorman at the Young's building gave me that look, the one reserved for people who look like they've wandered in by mistake. I nodded at him anyway and headed for the elevator to the 23rd floor. Velma had texted me the apartment number twice, just in case she thought I'd forget. My sweater was plain gray Walmart, maybe Target, and my khakis had a coffee stain from 2 weeks ago. My shoes were scuffed, all of it intentional. I call it the invisibility test. Wear something ordinary and see who treats you like a person and who treats you like a piece of furniture. Velma opened the door before I even knocked. Her smile was tight. "Dad, hi, come in. They're so excited to meet you." Then Wilma emerged behind her 62, blonde hair perfectly sprayed into place, wearing enough jewelry to pay for a semester at a state college. Her eyes swept over me from shoes to sweater in 3 seconds. "Oh, here comes Velma. Honey, your father's here. Dwight, Barton, come meet him." A loud laugh echoed from inside, deep, confident, the kind of laugh that tries to dominate a room before the person even enters it. Dwight Young stepped forward, 34, polo shirt, arms crossed like he was guarding something precious, me, I suppose. Wow, so this is him. I mean, Velma showed us photos, but an older man appeared next. Silver hair, uncomfortable expression. "Barton," he began, but Wilma silenced him immediately. "Don't be rude, Barton. Come in, come in. We don't judge people by their circumstances." I stepped inside. Marble floors, modern art worth 5 figures but saying nothing. Velma slipped away, probably embarrassed. Dwight kept grinning. "Just hoping you've got something better for the wedding, man. That sweater looks like it came from a dumpster." Funny thing about dumpster diving. It teaches you to identify real trash quickly. "Where do you all work again?" I asked casually. Velma mentioned finance. Wilma straightened with pride. "Silverest Financial Group. I'm director of compliance. Barton's regional supervisor. Dwight manages mid-level accounts. Silverest." I repeated, "Right. Thornton Executive Search placed all 3 of you." Dwight's grin faltered. "What's Thornton Exec? Wait, are you saying?" "I'm saying you're fired, all 3 of you, effective Monday." Barton dropped his wine glass. It didn't break, but red wine splashed across the pristine marble floor. The wine probably cost more than my sweater. At least, that's what they thought. Velma rushed back in with a tray of cheese. "Dad, what are you? This isn't funny. You can't just, this is illegal." Wilma's voice shot up an octave. "We have contracts. Illinois is an at-will state." I said, "Check your contracts, and my agency has final placement approval." Dwight stepped closer, face reddening. "This is abuse of power. You can't fire people because they called me a beggar, insulted my clothes." I walked toward the door. "You're right, I'm firing you because I can." Velma grabbed my arm, then immediately let go when I looked at her hand. "Dad, please." I pressed the elevator button once, twice, 3 times. Behind me, voices rose in panic. Dwight shouting about lawyers, Wilma sobbing, Barton repeating, "This can't be happening." Like a stuck record. The elevator arrived. I stepped inside. As the doors began to close, Velma appeared in the narrowing gap. They didn't mean it. The doors shut. Down in the lobby, the doorman gave me a very different look this time. Word travels fast in buildings like that. I walked to my Honda Civic and unlocked it. My hands trembled, the first crack in my composure. The engine coughed twice before starting. My phone buzzed. I tossed it onto the passenger seat without checking. In the rearview mirror, I saw Velma running out of the building, waving her arms. I pulled away from the curb. My Timex read 2:47 p.m. by Monday at 9:00 a.m. 3 people would learn what dumpster diving really felt like. At 8:15 Monday morning, Marcus Webb's face filled my computer screen. He'd been HR director at Silverist for 6 years. I'd placed him there myself. Orville, he said, I've got the paperwork, but firing all 3 at once is going to raise questions. I switched the phone to my right hand. My left was stiff again. The way it gets under stress. Not that I'd ever admit it. The performance reviews from the past year support it. Check their files. Marcus glanced off camera for the 3rd time. He looked like someone was standing in his office with a baseball bat. I'd already checked no one was. They're adequate, he said finally. Not stellar, but adequate. This is personal, isn't it? Is that a problem? He sighed, shoulders dropping. No, your agency's placed 42 people with us in 5 years. We're not risking that relationship. Good talk. I closed the laptop harder than necessary, the only sign of satisfaction I allowed myself. The termination emails went out at 11. I didn't watch them. I just signed the documents, clicked the buttons, grabbed my coffee cold. I'd been at the office since 6. At 2:03, my phone rang. Velma, I ignored it. Then it rang again and again. By the 5th call, I heard a car door slam outside. Then footsteps on my porch. She still had her house key from college. I'd meant to ask for it back 4 years ago. Too late now. She burst in. How could you? How could you? Mascara streaked her cheeks, hair a mess. She looked like she'd been crying since Saturday. Close the door, I said. You fired them, all of them. Dwight just called me. He's devastated. My wedding is in 3 months. Sit down. I'm not sitting. You're ruining my life because of what? A stupid joke. I walked to the kitchen and started making tea. The kettle filled the silence. It wasn't a joke. They were nervous meeting you for the first time. People say dumb things when they're nervous. Watch this. I opened my laptop. The video was already queued. Sunday afternoon, I'd returned to the building. The concierge was a friendly guy. $200 buys a lot of cooperation. The doorbell camera had captured everything. Velma stood behind my chair as the recording played, her younger self opening the door, Wilma appearing, then that line, "Oh, here comes our beggar father-in-law." Velma's hand flew to her mouth. The video continued. White's laugh, his dumpster remark, Wilma's syrupy voice insisting they didn't judge people by their circumstances. I'd been in the kitchen getting drinks the first time and missed the worst of it. Velma watched the recording again, pausing on Dwight's sneer. Dumpster? The word hung between us. The kettle screamed. I poured water over 2 tea bags and waited. 2 minutes passed, only her breathing and the frozen image on the screen breaking the silence. I didn't know it was that bad, she whispered. You were in the kitchen. I thought you were overreacting, he said. Dumpster. I repeated 3 times at the door in the entryway, and again when you came back with the wine. I slid a mug toward her. She didn't touch it. Do I look like I'm overreacting? A long silence followed. She sank into the chair across from me. What am I supposed to do now? That's your decision, I said. My phone buzzed once, then again 6 messages in 30 seconds. I left it on the counter and went to put away the tea. When I came back, Velma was watching the video again for the 4th time. She kept pausing it, rewinding, watching Dwight's mouth form the words over and over. They're going to lose the apartment, she whispered. They can't afford it without income, and my wedding was supposed to be in June, 200 guests, the venues paid for. I sat down and took a sip of my tea. It was too hot, but I swallowed it anyway. You could postpone, I said. Or cancel, that's an option too. She shut the laptop and stared at it like it might explode. Mom would have handled this better. Your mother would have set his car on fire." A ghost of a smile flickered and disappeared. "You miss her. Don't bring up your mother. You brought her up first. Fair point." My phone lit up again. Unknown number, local area code. The preview blinked on the lock screen. "You made a big mistake, old man." This isn't over. Dwight, of course. I carried the phone to my display shelf and set it beside a 1960s Bova I found at a rummage sale for $3. A watch that still kept perfect time. Some things you can't judge by the packaging. The phone buzzed again and again. 5 messages. 6. 7. "Aren't you going to check those?" Velma asked. "No." She stood, went to the door, stopped with her hand on the knob, opened her mouth twice as if words might appear if she waited long enough. I need to think." I nodded. She left. From the window, I watched her white Audi idling at the curb. Dwight had pressured her into leasing it. The payments devoured half her paycheck every month. She didn't drive away, just sat there, gripping the wheel, engine running, like the car itself was holding her in place. My phone kept buzzing. I continued ignoring it. At 4:37, my laptop chimed. Email notification. Facebook. I barely used it, but I still had an account, so the algorithm shoved everything at me whether I wanted it or not. The post was from Dwight Young, of course, all caps, dramatic. "Attention, Chicago business community." He'd declared me a corrupt manipulator who abused power to destroy innocent families. He even capitalized dangerous, like I was some supervillain, flattering but inaccurate. Batman had a better public relations team. I kept scrolling. It got worse: claims of misconduct, unethical behavior, and a demand to boycott my agency. At the bottom, 47 shares already. My phone buzzed again. This time I looked. Willa, my other daughter, the one in Kenya, saving lives and dodging wildlife. "Bill told me what happened." "Dad, really?" "You would have done the same," I typed. "I would have punched him. You're more creative. That's why I'm in Kenya saving people, and you're in Chicago ending careers." Mom would have been proud. Horrified, but proud. "Don't mention your mother. Too late. She's laughing in whatever dimension she's in." I set the phone down. Outside, Velma's Audi finally pulled away slow, hesitant, like she wasn't sure of the direction she wanted her life to go. The Bova ticked steadily. $3. Best investment I ever made. My phone buzzed once more. Another message from the unknown number. I didn't read it. I just stared at the street where Velma disappeared and wondered how long it would take her to understand what I had realized on Saturday. Some trash should never be allowed anywhere near your family. The rain started Tuesday morning. I watched it streak down the cafe window while Burke Patterson tapped his pen against a $15 cup of coffee. That was always his tell. He ordered expensive coffee when he was about to say something unpleasant. "You fired them," Burke said. "That part's done. Legal, clean, defensible." He spread a napkin across his lap as if this were a friendly breakfast. "Why am I here? Because firing them isn't enough," he said softly. The pen stopped tapping. "Orville, I've known you 15 years. This isn't like you. They called me a beggar in front of my daughter. I read the transcript Velma sent me. Yeah, there. Don't bother finishing. I'm not asking for permission. I'm asking for a PI recommendation." Burke sighed, set down his cup, picked it up again. Petra Moss, former FBI white-collar division, expensive, thorough, discreet. Set it up. He made the call right then. By 2 that afternoon, I was sitting across from Petra in her West Loop office. A room that looked like a conspiracy theorist's paradise. Whiteboards, photos, lines of string connecting everything. Except here, everything actually connected. It was unsettling. She slid a folder toward me. Dwight Young, BMW 7 Series 2023. 40, 5,000 still owed. Monthly payment $380. He's 2 months behind. How did you get this in 2 days? She smiled. I'm good at my job. Want details, or do you want to stay technically legal? Point taken. She continued. Wilma Young. Her credit score dropped 80 points in 6 months. Cards maxed out at 30 grand Nordstrom. Neiman Marcus, Cartier. She's trying to look rich. She's succeeding at going broke. And Barton, cleaner, but he visits Rivers Casino twice a month. Never big amounts, 200 to 300 each time. Consistent. $200 every other Tuesday at a casino. Either the most reliable lucky streak in history or the least. They need money, Petra said, desperately. I left Petra's office with the folder under my arm, head buzzing with numbers and possibilities. At home, I spread everything across my desk, 3 piles, one for each of them. My left hand ached again, so I switched to my right. At 7, my phone lit up with Willa's face, beaming from 7 zeros. 0 miles away under Nairobi's bright sunlight. So, Dad, she said, how's your villain arc going? I'm not a villain. You fired 3 people for being rude. That's villain. Adjacent. They humiliated me. They're idiots. You're supposed to be the smart one. That's the difference. I sat down. The chair creaked under me. So you think I went too far? I think you went exactly as far as you always go, scorched earth. She smiled, but her eyes didn't. Mom would have been proud, horrified but proud. Don't mention your mother. Too late. She's laughing somewhere. After we hung up, I sat still for 2 minutes. The laptop glowed in front of me. The doorbell footage paused on Dwight's sneer. I hit play again. Dumpster. The word echoed. Willa had asked if I'd bought a villain cape yet. I'd told her capes were impractical in Chicago wind. She said that was exactly my problem, no commitment to the aesthetic. But maybe she had a point about the villain part. My phone buzzed Petra again, got the job application list. Dwight applied to 12 companies in 3 days, 6 auto rejections, 3 pending, 3 want references. Who'd he list? His old boss at Silverest, Marcus, I muttered. He won't give a glowing one. Legally, he can only confirm employment dates, but tone matters, she said. How do you want to handle it? I stared at the screen. The typing indicator appeared, vanished. I set the phone down without answering. By 11 p.m., I'd poured 2 whiskeys rare for me, but the day was long. My hand hurt, and Willa's words kept circling. Villain arc, scorched earth. I opened Petra's list of employers, pulled up a blank email, and typed, Dear hiring manager, I feel obligated to share concerns regarding candidate reliability and judgment based on prior placement. Experience, professional, vague, necessary. I sent the first email, then the second. My fingers flew, no hesitations. 15 minutes later, 6 emails were out. A wave of satisfaction washed over me, stronger than anything I'd felt since Saturday. I closed the laptop and went to bed. At 6:45 Wednesday morning, my phone buzzed. Email notification. Subject line, FWD, concerns about your inquiry. Ethics question. My stomach sank. Janet Reeves, HR Director at Mercantile Trust. Below her forwarded message, someone had typed, Does anyone else find this inappropriate? Sharing with the professional network for input. I sat up 2 fast whiskey, 3 hours of sleep, and dread swirling together. My head spun. I scrolled down. 7 people were on the chain now. 8. The number climbed as I watched it. Someone had screenshotted my message. Then my phone rang. Burke, not even 7 in the morning. Burke never calls before 8 unless something is on fire. My thumb hovered over the answer button. In the bathroom mirror across the room, my own reflection stared back, pale, unshaven, and somehow older than I remembered. The phone kept buzzing. Tell me you didn't send warning emails to 6 companies. Burke's voice boomed through the speaker when I finally answered. I stood in the kitchen in my pajamas, laptop open on the counter, the coffee maker sputtering away without the carafe in place. Coffee pooled across the granite in a spreading brown lake. Please tell me you didn't sign them with your agency name and title, he said. Burke was describing the implosion of my professional reputation, and all I could focus on was the granite staining. Priorities, though honestly it all felt reasonable at the time. At what time? He demanded. Midnight. And how many drinks? 2. Whiskeys. Jesus Orville. Just tell me how bad it is. LinkedIn, bad, viral, bad? Janet Reeves at Mercantile posted it asking if this is standard industry practice or personal vendetta. I grabbed a towel and began wiping up coffee in slow motion while Burke rattled off details. The LinkedIn post was alive and thriving. 40 screenshots, comments exploding. My hands trembled as I opened my laptop. By 9 a.m., it had 217 reactions and 48 comments. I had to steady my phone with both hands just to read them. This is why I don't trust recruiters. I've been an executive headhunter for 30 years. Today, apparently, I learned I'm the Darth Vader of HR. 3 clients called by 10, each expressing concern, which was corporate code for "we're watching you." Closely at 11, Diana Chen walked into my office. PR consultant, crisis fixer, professional extinguisher of dumpster fires. She took one look at my desk, 3 empty coffee cups, printouts of the LinkedIn post scribbled over in red ink, and promptly took my phone away like I was a teenager caught texting under the table. Stop refreshing, you're making it worse. I'm 68. Being parented like that was a new category of humiliation. She scrolled through her phone, 217 reactions, 48 comments, 3 supportive, 12 neutral, 30, 3 questioning your judgment. I made a mistake. I muttered. You made a traceable mistake, which is the worst kind. Untraceable ones are just business. What do I do? You apologize vaguely. I regret if my communication was misinterpreted. Classic non-apology apology, and stop doing anything traceable. No emails, no calls, no written trails. Then how do I? You know exactly how. You've been doing this for 30 years. Coffee meetings, conference whispers. Reputation management isn't built on emails. It's built on murmurs. She was right. I'd known it Tuesday night somewhere beneath the whiskey fog. I just ignored it. At 2, Petra called. Got something that'll make you smile? I doubt it. Wilma Young took out a home equity loan in 2023, $80,000 on her condo and on her sister's house. What? She got her sister, Beatrice Young Martinez, to co-sign. Claimed it was for medical bills. Family emergency. Let me guess, no medical bills. Correct. Shopping bills, Cartier bracelet, $8,000, handbags, 12, and Beatrice just found out. Wilma missed 3 payments. Bank contacted her last week. For the first time all day, I sat up straighter. Finally, something useful. Where is Beatrice now? That evening, Petra handed me a file thick with documents. Loan papers, payment histories, collection notices. All in black and white. Wilma had lied to her own sister, used her house as collateral, and then defaulted. The shaking from the morning had vanished. Something colder settled in its place. At 6 p.m., my doorbell rang. A process server, young guy, blank expression, clipboard. Orville Wallace Thornton. That's me. You've been served. Complaint for wrongful termination and defamation. Sign here. I signed with a steady hand. Attorney. I asked. Sharon Fitzroy. Plaintiffs are DeWitt Young, Wilma Young, and Barton Young. He shrugged. That's what it says. Have a nice evening. I laughed, an actual laugh. Too late for that. Either he had the best sense of irony I'd ever seen, or he truly didn't care. I respected both possibilities. I carried the paperwork to my desk and set it down beside the 1960s Bova from my watch collection. Cost me $3. Still ran perfectly. Burke called at 7:30. You got served 20 minutes ago. I did. Wrongful termination won't stick, Illinois, as it will, and your documentation is clean. Defamation, well, the LinkedIn situation doesn't help. Expect stress, time, and maybe $30,000 in legal. Fees you might have to settle to make it go away. I'm not settling. Orville, they humiliated my daughter. Firing was mercy. This is what they earned. I hung up and stared at the lawsuit. Across the desk, the Bova's second hand kept its patient ticking. Mechanical, precise. My phone buzzed. A text from Vilma. First contact since Monday. I saw the LinkedIn thing. Dad, what are you doing? I typed, fixing the mistake. Deleted it, typed what I should have said Monday. Deleted that too. Another buzz, different number. Chicago area code. Mr. Thornton, this is Beatrice Martinez, Wilma's sister. I heard you might want to talk about Wilma. I definitely did. I looked at the message. The Bova ticked. I'd bought that watch at an estate sale in 2019. The seller thought it was broken. It only needed the right person to wind it. My fingers moved over the keyboard. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Do you know the gauge on Michigan Avenue? Her reply came in 5 seconds. I'll be there. And Mr. Thornton, I'm bringing receipts. Beatrice Martinez's kitchen smelled like strong coffee and long. Overdue justice. She slid a thick manila folder across the table, bank statements, each loan payment highlighted in yellow. $80,000, she said. She told me it was for Mom's cancer treatment. Your mother didn't have cancer. Mom died in 2019, heart attack, quick, no medical bills. I'm sorry. She laughed, a hard, bitter sound. Don't be sorry, be effective. That's why you're here. The numbers told everything. Beatrice had paid every installment, draining her retirement to keep her home safe. Wilma had contributed $200. Once, as if tipping a valet, as if Beatrice should be grateful. Beatrice wasn't grateful. She was enlightened. I left Oak Park at 10:30, folder under my arm, and started making calls from the car. Patricia, it's Orville Thornton. Yes, too long. Listen. Your candidate pool out of Silvercrest Financial. Just so you know, those recent departures were complicated. At-will situations, but context always matters. 15 calls over 7 days. None direct, all coming from colleagues just checking in. Each conversation circling the same carefully phrased concern about my recent judgment. By Thursday, the pattern was obvious. DeWitt had applied to 20, 3 companies, received 20, 2 auto-rejects, and had 1 interview scheduled. I knew about that interview before he did. Petra's surveillance made sure of it. I also knew the HR director conducting it, Stephen Rohr, a VP I'd personally placed 4 years earlier. So I arranged my own meeting at the same coffee shop at the same time, Intelligentsia, at 10:45 a.m. I spent 20 minutes choosing the right suit, not the priciest one. That would be gauche, but expensive enough that DeWitt would notice. Tom Ford felt different on my shoulders than that Walmart sweater he once mocked. The suit wasn't clothing, it was armor. Stephen arrived first. We shook hands, ordered coffee, and settled into a corner booth. I adjusted my cufflinks, subtle, but positioned perfectly for DeWitt to notice if he looked over. Walk me through the VP candidates, Stephen said. Before we do? I replied, raising my voice just slightly. You may see applications from individuals recently separated from Silvercrest. I can't discuss specifics, but there were concerns about professional judgment. Stephen leaned forward. Thornton placed them originally right. We did. I said, which is why I feel responsible for flagging that some placements don't pan out as hoped. Noted. He checked his phone. Actually, I think I've got one scheduled now in this coffee shop. The door opened. DeWitt walked in wearing his interview costume, blue blazer, leather portfolio, the stiff, borrowed confidence he thought read as professional. His eyes scanned the cafe and froze when he saw me. His coffee cup stalled halfway to his mouth. Liquid sloshed over the rim. At his table, he knocked the entire cup over trying to eavesdrop. For someone who managed mid-level accounts, his hand-eye coordination collapsed under pressure. That alone should have been on his performance reviews. I glanced at him for half a second. Acknowledgement, dismissal, and indifference all at once. Then I looked back at my phone. He approached. Thornton. I looked up with mild surprise. Dwight, what brings you here? You know exactly what brings me here. Stephen shifted. You two know each other. My daughter was briefly engaged to him. I said. The engagement ended. It ended because you, Dwight started. Because circumstances changed. I cut in. Stephen, this is awkward. We can reschedule. Stephen didn't hesitate. He was already texting, thumbs moving at executive speed. Canceling politely is practically a corporate art form these days. Actually, yes, we'll reschedule. Orville, I'll call you later. He left. I stayed 10 more minutes, finished my coffee, checked emails. Dwight sat 15 feet away, surrounded by his interview materials, watching me like a cornered animal. When I finally walked out, I didn't look back. My phone buzzed as I entered the parking garage. Petra, interview canceled by text. He got the message in my Tesla, not the Honda Civic from that first meeting. I pulled up the latest surveillance notes. Dwight's bank balance, $847. BMW payment due in 6 days, $380. The math didn't balance. It never had. Another buzz live feed of Dit and Wilma's text chain. He was there at the interview. Who was where? Thornton talking to the guy I was supposed to meet. Coincidence? No, he knew. This is him. He's blocking everything. Can he do that? He is doing that. I set the phone down and started the engine. The Tesla hummed softly, quiet, owned outright. Last year, the salesman asked if I wanted to finance it, said it would help my credit score. I told him I didn't care about my score. I cared about ownership. That was the difference between me and the Youngs. They bought the illusion of status. I bought leverage. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Mr. Thornton, this is Nordstrom Collections regarding account ending in 472. Wrong number. Wilma's account. They'd scraped my old information from when she'd been engaged to my daughter. Not my problem. Then another message Velma to Dit. I'd misread the preview at first. I need time to think. Please don't contact me. And his reply, appearing in real time, we need to talk. It's about your father's money. I stared at that message for 10 long minutes. Not about us. Not about the relationship. About money. On the passenger seat, Petra's folder rested like a loaded weapon. Inside were the text messages from 6 months ago. Dwight and his friend Trevor discussing Velma like she was an investment strategy. I'd read them yesterday. They left a sour taste. Now seemed like the right moment to show her. I texted, "Can you come by my house tomorrow? I have something to show you." No response. Rain started as I pulled out of the garage. Chicago's spring downpour blurred the city into streaks of gray as my wipers beat a steady rhythm. The Youngs believed they were fighting me. They were actually fighting 30 years of professional relationships, an industry that trusted my voice over any applicants, and a network built placement by placement. They'd brought knives to a nuclear war. Only now did they realize it. Across town, Wilma laid her jewelry out in a neat line across her dining table. Calculator app open. Numbers that refused to add up. On speakerphone, a jewelry buyer tried to sound sympathetic. The Cartier, I can offer $3,800. I paid $8,200. You paid retail. I pay wholesale. That's the market. It's barely worn. Perfect condition. Then sell it back to Cartier. Oh wait, they don't buy back. He'd clearly handled countless cases like hers, divorced women, failed executives, people who confused aspiration for affordability. He had perfected the professional gently, mocking sadness. Wilma's hand tightened around the bracelet, wanting to refuse but slowly releasing. Fine, $3,800. Behind her, Barton sifted through mail, nothing but bank notices. Wilma, we've got 3 more letters here. Not now, Barton. Friday afternoon. Only 2 days since the coffee shop. Their finances were collapsing in real time. Meanwhile, in the West Loop, in a luxury apartment he couldn't afford. DeWitt paced 17 steps end to end, turning sharply each time. Phone to his ear. Velma, it's me again. I know you're ignoring my calls. I get it. This situation is insane, but we need to talk. Not about your father, not about the lawsuit, about us, about our future. I love you. Please call me back. Voicemail number 17 in 2 days. I didn't know anyone still left voicemails, but desperation brings back obsolete habits. Back at my office, Petra slid another folder across my desk. Screenshots, she said. Inside were the texts between DeWitt and Trevor from October. I opened the first one. Trevor, you serious about Velma? DeWitt, her dad's loaded. Executive search firm probably worth 8 to 10 mil. She was the younger daughter, the one most likely to inherit more than half. Trevor had spelled it out clearly. To him it was a financial strategy. DeWitt would have called it an investment steady job, low-maintenance personality, good long-term return. I read the line twice, closed the folder, and stared out at the Michigan Avenue traffic for a full minute, letting the weight of it settle. How did you even get these? I asked. Do you want the truth? Petra replied, or plausible deniability. Point taken. My phone buzzed. A notification from Petra. Screenshots of a text exchange between Wilma and DeWitt. How much do you need? Need for what? You've called 6 times. You need money. It's not about money. Everything is about money right now. How much? A long pause. Then 25,000 would solve the immediate problems. I dialed Velma. She answered on the 4th ring, voice sharp and exhausted. What? When are you meeting DeWitt? Silence, then wary. How did you 6 o'clock? Lincoln Park? Why? Come to my house afterward. I have something you need to see. Dad, I can't keep. Please, it's important. She hung up without confirming. I wasn't at Lincoln Park at 6, but Petra had someone there. The photos hit my phone seconds after they were taken. DeWitt and Velma sitting on a bench, his hand reaching for hers. She pulled away, but only slightly, just enough to signal hesitation, not refusal. Then the audio file arrived. Petra's surveillance was always thorough. $25,000, Velma said. It's a loan. I'll pay you back when I get a job. When is that going to be? Your father has blacklisted you. We don't know that for sure. Yes, we do. You saw him at the coffee shop? Yes, but it can't last forever. And if it doesn't, we figure it out together. That's what marriage is, right? We're not married. We could be. We were going to be. Classic manipulation, lean on shared history, promise a future, ignore the present. At 7:45 p.m., my doorbell rang. Velma stood on the porch, arms crossed, face tight. Are you happy now? Please, just sit. I don't want to sit. DeWitt asked me for $25,000 today. He's desperate. They're losing everything. And you feel responsible. I feel like you've turned my life into a war zone. I didn't start this war. This is about the dumpster comment, isn't it? A stupid joke. It wasn't a joke to them. And this isn't about the comment. It's about who they showed me they are. They're scared. Dad, they're losing their homes. They showed me exactly who they were when they thought you were nobody, when you didn't matter to them. I opened my laptop. A grid of text screenshots filled the screen. Before you give him money, read these. What is this? Messages between DeWitt and his friend Trevor. October, 2 months before he proposed. She leaned forward. Her voice shrank with each line. You serious about Velma? DeWitt's reply. Her dad's loaded. Executive search firm worth 8 to 10 million. She's the younger daughter. Might inherit more than half. Keep reading, I said. Plus, she's got a steady job, low maintenance, good long-term investment. She repeated, numb. He proposed December 3rd. She scrolled. Then the line that stopped her cold. Ring cost $3,000. Should get me access to at least $1 million long-term. ROI looks solid. He calculated a return on investment on our engagement ring. I poured myself a bourbon for dramatic effect, only to realize no one was watching. Wasted theatrics on an empty room. "I'm sorry," I said. "You're not sorry. You wanted me to see this. I wanted you to see the truth, the truth." She snapped. "Is that you destroyed any chance I had at happiness because your ego got bruised." She grabbed her purse and stormed toward the door. Halfway there, she hesitated. Maybe he was just talking. Guys talk. "There's more, from January." She came back, scrolled again, and read aloud the same cruel line. "Ring cost $3,000. Should get me access to at least $1 million long term. ROI looks solid." Her hand trembled as she set the laptop down. She stared at it like it might detonate. "I need to think," she whispered, then left. The door closed softly. No slam. The quiet was worse. I sat alone as the bourbon glass sweated into a ring on my coffee table. Outside, spring rain began to fall. At 9:47 p.m., Willa texted. "Velma called me. She's devastated. Dad, what did you do?" I typed "I showed her the truth," deleted it. Typed "I protected her," deleted it. Typed "I don't know," and sent that. Another buzz. Velma this time. I need copies of those texts. I blinked. Read it twice. She wasn't defending them anymore. She wanted evidence, then, and anything else you have on him, everything. Petra's folder was still on my desk. More screenshots, more records, and the biggest revelation. The previous engagement Petra had uncovered. The pattern behind it all. Dit had been engaged once before. He'd broken it off as soon as he discovered the woman's father had gone bankrupt. If I gave Velma everything, if she saw the whole pattern, if she became part of the revenge, her face flashed in my mind. How it changed as she read those texts, her voice cracking on the word investment. Third message from her. "Dad, please. I need to know who I almost married." The rain intensified, drumming against the roof. Once calming, now just static. Interference. I took another drink, felt the burn, and texted Petra. "Send me everything on Dit. The engagement history, all of it." Then I wrote to Velma, "Come over tomorrow morning, bring coffee. This will take a while." The rain kept falling. Somewhere in the Gold Coast, Willa was counting jewelry money that wouldn't come close to saving them. Barton was probably at Rivers Casino, hiding in plain sight. Dit, wherever he was, had likely just realized that Velma had gone silent, and that silence meant she had finally seen him clearly. I had won. The Youngs were collapsing. Everything was working exactly as planned. So why did the bourbon taste like ashes? At 8:45 the next morning, Velma arrived with 2 coffees. Hers was already half gone. Mine sat untouched as we spread Petra's files across my desk. "The texts were bad enough," she said, "but you said there's more." "There is. Petra found this yesterday. I wanted to wait until no more waiting, just show me." I slid a photo across the desk. A garden party, formal attire, a couple posing for an engagement announcement. The woman looked like Velma, same age, same build, same dark hair. "Her name is Heather Brennan," I said. "Cincinnati pharmaceutical family." Velma stared at the picture. "When was this?" 4 years ago, engaged for 14 months, and 3 weeks after her father restructured his estate and cut her inheritance during a family dispute, Dit ended the engagement. Her finger traced the woman's likeness. The resemblance was unsettling. I'd noticed it the second Petra showed me the photo. Same type, same pattern, same target profile. My phone rang. "Petra, I've got something. It's big." By 10:30 we were in Petra's office. She looked like she hadn't slept. Coffee cups crowded her desk. Whiteboards behind her mapped timelines, financials, relationship data. Like she was profiling a serial killer. In a way, she was a serial relationship predator. "Heather Brennan," Petra said, pointing at the board. 28 at the time, now 32. Father, Roland Brennan, former CEO of Metafarm Solutions. Dit met her at a conference in 2020. Velma leaned forward. How did you find this? His credit report flagged an address in Cincinnati. I pulled the thread. Petra laid out the timeline: 6 months dating, engagement in March 2021, wedding set for June 2022. In April, Heather's father reduced her inheritance from $8 million to $500,000. Velma's voice barely rose above a whisper, and Dit broke the engagement 3 weeks later, May 3rd. Petra confirmed. Cited incompatibility and different life goals. I placed the 2 engagement photos side by side, Dit with Heather, Dit with Velma. The same practiced smile, the same pose, the same calculated inch of distance. The man followed a script. By 1 p.m., Wilma Young walked into the Chicago Police Department's 18th District, looking like she was presenting to a board: designer suit, statement necklace, deliberate posture. The desk sergeant asked if she was a lawyer. Detective Santos took her complaint in a small interview room. Petra had someone monitoring, so we had the summary by 3. Mrs. Young, you're claiming Orville Thornton is harassing your family. He's destroying our lives. He fired us. He's blacklisting us. He's turning people against us. Has he threatened you physically? No. Has he contacted you directly since the termination? Well, no, but he's behind everything. She arrived at the station with a 3-page typed complaint, complete with footnotes. Footnotes. I'd handled actual stalking cases with less documentation. Clearly, she'd been preparing this for a while. Detective Santos called me at 3. His voice was professional, but I could hear the skepticism underneath. Mr. Thornton, Wilma Young claims you're conducting a harassment campaign against her family. I terminated their employment from a company where my agency had placement authority, I said. That's documented, legal, and within my rights. Have you had any contact with them since? One accidental encounter at a coffee shop where I was meeting a client. Accidental, detective. Chicago is a small town in certain circles. He went through the usual procedure questions about influence, industry connections, my assessment process. I gave him everything: termination documentation, references, the structure of executive search networks, all of it. Mrs. Young believes you're behind their difficulty finding new employment, he said. I run an executive search firm. People call me for references and professional opinions. I give honest assessments. Honest or vindictive? Is there a difference? I asked if the assessment is accurate. He closed his notebook before 4, and by 5 he called back to say the complaint was dismissed. No evidence of illegal activity, a civil matter at best, a warning to both parties to keep their distance. Meanwhile, Petra had set up the video call. At 5 o'clock, Velma sat at my desk with the laptop open. Heather Brennan's face appeared on the screen from Cincinnati when Petra reached out. Heather said, I wasn't sure if I should respond, but when she showed me your photo, you look like me, same age, same type. Velma's hands twisted in her lap. How did you meet him? Industry conference. Metafarm sponsored it. I was there for my father's company. Dit was charming, funny, and seemed genuinely interested in my work, not my family. How long before he proposed? 6 months. He said he knew right away and didn't want to waste time. I thought it was romantic. Velma's voice cracked. What happened? My father and I argued about my career. I wanted to teach. He wanted me in the company. He threatened to cut my inheritance. I told Dit because I assumed we'd figure it out together. Heather swallowed. 3 weeks later, he told me we wanted different things. I didn't understand until my friend showed me texts he'd sent to his buddy, talking about my reduced value and cutting losses early. When Heather saw a photo of Velma's engagement ring, her reaction was instant. Oh no, she whispered. Not you too. When the call ended, Velma took off her engagement ring and placed it on my desk. She stared at it for a full minute without speaking. I reached toward it, then pulled my hand back. I didn't touch it, Didn't comment. How many others? She asked, voice flat. Petra's still digging, I said, but based on the gaps between his relationships, the pattern at least 2 more, possibly more. She stood. I'm going home. I need to think. After she left, I sat with the ring on my desk. 3 carats, quality cut. Expensive but not extravagant. A calculated purchase. Impressive enough to satisfy the target, not so large as to waste money. I thought about Velma's face during the call with Heather, the way her voice broke, the way her hands shook when she removed the ring. I'd wanted to protect her from a disastrous marriage, and I had. But the cost her trust, her faith that someone might choose her for who she was, felt immeasurable. My phone buzzed. Willa. Velma told me about Heather. Dad, how many more? I typed, I don't know yet, and sent it. Another buzz? Dad, this stopped being about revenge a while ago. I know. Are you okay? I stared at the question for a long 5 minutes. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my laptop. Petra's file sat in my inbox, subject line. Complete Dit Young investigation, confidential. I opened it. 83 pages. The preview showed a spreadsheet, names, dates, timelines, financial profiles, 5 rows. Cassandra Walsh, 2017, father, venture capitalist, engagement 11 months, breakup 2 weeks after father's firm collapsed. Nina Pasnak, 2019, father, real estate developer, engagement 13 months, breakup 1 month after father's health care issues reduced the expected inheritance. Heather Brennan, 2021. We already knew her story. Ivan Chen, 2022. Father, tech executive, engagement 7 months. Ended after her parents divorced and assets split. Velma Thornton, 2024. Father, executive recruiter. Estimated net worth, 8-10 million. My hands began to shake at 10:47 p.m. Petra texted, found something else. Verifying details, you're going to want to sit down. Before I could respond, make that plural, multiple things. Then my phone rang. Velma, Dad, I need you to set up a meeting, she said. Me, you, and it, face to face. That's not a good idea. Let me handle. I'm not asking permission. I want to look him in the eye when I tell him I know about Heather, and whatever else Petra is finding. I want to watch him try to lie to me. Velma, you wanted to protect me. I understand, and I'm grateful, but this is my life. He tried to take something from me. Now it's my turn. She hung up before I could argue. A second later, Petra texted, screw it. Sending now. Call me after you read it. The updated file downloaded. More notes, more timelines, 8 years. 5 confirmed victims, possibly more. I had 1. The Youngs were unraveling. Dit's pattern was exposed, so why did it feel like I had lost something too? I barely slept Saturday night. By Sunday morning at 9, Velma was back at my dining table. For 2 hours, we worked through every page of Petra's file. Then my phone rang. Marcus Webb. A Sunday call was never good. Orville, you need to see this. Chicago Scene is publishing a piece at 2 p.m. I got an advance copy. They interviewed the Youngs. What kind of interview? The sympathetic kind. The cruel millionaire destroys innocent family over a dinner party insult kind. Written by Preston Keene. Of course. Preston Keene wrote lifestyle content like he was exposing national corruption. Sources say, usually meant the Youngs told me personally. Let it make noise, I said. We have the doorbell video, the financial texts, and 5 victims on record. Let them talk. Then we'll talk. At 2, the article went live. Millionaire's Petty Revenge Destroys Family by Preston Keene. Velma read it aloud while I paced. Wilma Young, a dedicated compliance director with 15 years of excellence, described the devastating moment everything collapsed. We made a social misstep, she claimed. One comment, and he used his power to destroy everything. Keep reading, I said. Dit, in the interview, spoke through tears. He actually cried. I loved Velma. I wanted a life with her. Her father decided I wasn't good enough based on my clothes and my family's income. He was good. I had to give him that. My phone started buzzing. 3 clients in 10 minutes, each expressing concern, which was corporate code for, we're watching to see if you're still valuable or if you're becoming a liability. I told them I remained useful, whether I was toxic still up for debate. At 4, an emergency meeting. Burke and Diana arrived within 20 minutes. Diana scrolled through her phone. This is bad, she said. Your reputation is taking hits. Can we sue for defamation? Burke asked. No, waste of time. What we need is a counter-narrative. Velma set down her coffee cup. Release everything. Velma, everything, Dad, the doorbell video, the texts about me being an investment, Heather's story, all of it. Diana stopped scrolling. That's the nuclear option. It drags your private life into the public eye. My private life is already a lie, Velma said. At least the truth is honest. Burke leaned forward. If we do this, there's no going back. Everyone will see everything. How fast can we put it together? I asked. Diana checked her watch. 2 hours. LinkedIn post, video attachments, PDFs, written statement. I spent those 2 hours typing, revising, and attaching every piece of evidence we had. Velma sat beside me the entire time, editing lines, approving additions, and drafting her own statement. I rarely respond to public attacks, but the level of distortion spreading online left me no choice. I wrote, I rarely address public accusations, but recent misrepresentations require a factual clarification. On March 16th, I visited my daughter's fiancé's family for the first time. Within 30 seconds, they referred to me as our beggar father-in-law, and said my clothes looked like they came from a dumpster. I've attached the doorbell camera footage showing the full exchange. Diana looked over my shoulder and tapped the screen. Link the texts there. I continued. I also discovered that Mr. Young described my daughter in text messages as a financial investment with favorable long-term ROI. Those messages are attached. Additionally, evidence shows Mr. Young has repeatedly targeted women whose fathers possess substantial wealth, ending the relationships as soon as expected financial benefits disappeared. Add Heather's statement, Velma said quietly. She had already given full permission. So I wrote, MS, Heather Brennan of Cincinnati has submitted her account of her 2021 engagement to Mr. Young, which ended 3 weeks after her anticipated inheritance changed. Her statement included, I hovered over the post button for a long 5 seconds. Then Velma reached across my arm and clicked it herself. By 6:00 p.m., the post was live. By 6:30, comments were pouring in faster than I could read them. Velma read them aloud, her voice shifting from tense to relieved to something close to triumphant by the 50th supportive message. This is what accountability looks like. Thank you for exposing these con artists. I feel for your daughter, but I'm proud of this father. My LinkedIn post had more engagement in 6 hours than my entire professional career combined. Apparently all I had needed was to broadcast my family's private disaster to the world. A spectacular marketing strategy unintentionally at 8:00 p.m. Preston Keene updated his article. Editor's note, additional information has come to light. Mr. Thornton has provided documentation evidence of a pattern of behavior by Mr. Young currently under review. His credibility was cracking. The comments on his piece questioned his vetting process. Around 9:00, Velma's phone buzzed, a text from a colleague. I can't believe I worked with you for 5 years and never knew. Wait, wrong direction, that was meant for Wilma. Velma laughed once, humorless. Wrong person, she said, but the sentiment was spreading. People were turning against the Youngs. My phone rang next. An unknown number. I let it roll to voicemail. The message, Mr. Thornton, this is Mrs. Patterson from Wilma's building. Several residents have expressed concerns about the situation. We wanted you to know we're monitoring things. Once the condo board gets involved, the reputation collapse is complete. At 11 p.m., my doorbell rang, 4 times insistent. When I opened the door, Dit stood on my porch. He was weaving slightly, suit wrinkled, tie loosened, eyes red. Drunk, furious, desperate. A perfect picture of poor judgment. I need to talk to Velma. I blocked the doorway. She's not here. You destroyed my life. You destroyed your own. All I did was show people what you said and did. I called you a beggar, so what? This was never about the comment. No, it wasn't. It was about who you are. About what you did to my daughter, to Heather, to Cassandra, to Nina, to Avon. They were different. He slurred. Velma was real. To you, she was row 5 on a spreadsheet. I loved her. You loved her father's net worth. There's a difference. He swayed, searching for words he didn't have. Finally, what am I supposed to do now? Start over somewhere that doesn't require a father with 8 to 10 million in assets. His voice cracked. I can't. It's all gone. Job, apartment, Velma, everything. For a moment, just one. I saw something human. Not the manipulator, not the social climber, not the opportunist, just a 34-year old man realizing his entire adult life was built on sand. Then it passed. I'll call you an Uber. I said, I don't want. I'm calling you an Uber. You're not driving. I waited with him in silence until the car pulled up. Watched him stumble into the back seat. Watched the taillights fade down the block. My phone buzzed. Velma, Dit just texted me. He said he went to your house. Are you okay? I'm fine. He's drunk and upset. I sent him home in an Uber. You sent your enemy home safely. He's not my enemy anymore. He's just broken. 3 blinking dots appeared, vanished, returned. Dad, I'm ending the engagement officially tomorrow. Burke's drafting the letter. You don't have to make it public. I want it in writing, legal, final, no more ambiguity. Another buzz, an unknown number. Mr. Thornton, this is Cassandra Walsh. Heather gave me your contact. I was Dit's first row 1 on his spreadsheet. I'd like to talk. Before I finished reading it, another text arrived. This is Nina Pasnak. I need to tell you what Dit did to my family. Then another and another. Ivan Chen. Row 4, they were all reaching out. My phone felt like it was vibrating nonstop. Down the street, a car door slammed. I looked outside. Wilma's BMW was parked crookedly at the curb, hazard lights blinking. She climbed out, makeup streaked, 60, 2 years old and looking suddenly older. She cupped her hands around her mouth. Where is my son? I opened the window. I sent him home. He's safe, safe. Her voice shook. You destroyed him. You destroyed all of us. You destroyed yourselves. I said softly. I only held up the mirror. She wavered. Emotion, exhaustion, or both, and spat. I hate you. I know. She got back in the BMW and drove off. The hazard lights disappeared around the corner. More texts from the women came in, 5 of them now in a group chat, planning to meet, compare stories, consider action. I sat alone in the dark, phone glowing in my hand. The Youngs were finished. Dit's pattern was exposed. Future victims protected. But my daughter's engagement had become public spectacle, her trust in love gone. Thousands of strangers knew her humiliation. I scrolled the LinkedIn comments until one stopped me. I feel terrible for the daughter. She's a victim, too. Velma's Facebook cover photo had gone solid black. No caption. I texted her, you okay? 10 minutes later, define okay. I'm sorry it got so public. Don't be. You didn't make it public. They did. You just told the truth. The truth sucks, though, she added. My watch shelf caught a sliver of streetlight. 30. 7 watches. Each one a discarded object I'd once seen value in. I had always taken pride in that, noticing worth where others didn't. Tonight, I wondered if I'd ever fully understood the price. Then at 2:17 Tuesday afternoon, a text from an unknown number. This is Barton Young. Can we meet alone, please? I stared at the screen for a long 5 minutes, thumb hovering over delete, block reply. Why? I finally typed. His answer came instantly, because I owe you an apology. and because I need to ask you something. My wife and stepson don't know about this. It's just me, man to man. I chose the location deliberately, Lincoln Park, by the pond, 4:00 p.m., the same bench where Dit had proposed to Velma 8 months earlier. She'd mentioned that detail once. I wasn't sure if picking the spot was petty, symbolic, or both. I arrived 20 minutes early. Families walked by, joggers passed. The normalcy felt wrong. Barton appeared at 4:07, moving slowly. He had developed a limp. His clothes were from Target now, not designer. The fall was visible in every feature. He sat down heavily, keeping 2 feet between us. Thanks for meeting me. I almost didn't. I wouldn't have blamed you. His voice cracked slightly. I'm here to tell you that you were right about everything. I don't need you to tell me I was right. I already know. I know, but I need to say it anyway. He took out his wallet, showed me a photo. Young Dit at a spelling bee, maybe 7 years old, smiling with a gap-toothed grin, then tucked it away without explanation. We treated you terribly. You came to meet your daughter's future family, and we acted like you were beneath us. You're not telling me anything I haven't heard. I'm telling you I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. I was a coward. Wilma set the tone, and I just followed. A jogger passed, and the wind shifted slightly. Barton stared ahead, waiting for me to respond. A woman with a stroller passed by, life moving forward while mine felt unnervingly suspended. I knew what I'd done, and I knew it was wrong. Barton reminded me of that moment, the day I rang their doorbell and Wilma called me a beggar. The memory still made my stomach drop. I had wanted to defend myself, but I hadn't. Why? Because in 10 years of marriage, I had never once stood up to Wilma. That wasn't strength. It was cowardice masquerading as peace. I understood that now, my hands unclasped in my lap, the only outward sign of the turmoil tightening inside me. What about Dwight? I asked. Where does he stand in all of this? Barton stretched his legs, his posture deflating. He's gone, left for Nevada 2 weeks ago. Called me from a casino saying he's starting over under his middle name. He already has new debts. My jaw tightened. The main target had slipped through my fingers, and Wilma, Barton explained, she rarely left their apartment now. The doctor had prescribed antidepressants. She spent most days sitting in the dark, scrolling through old photos, the Gold Coast condo, the jewelry, the life they used to flaunt. When he finally lifted his eyes to mine, they held exhausted honesty. I'm not asking for mercy, he said. We don't deserve it, but I need to know, is it enough? The job losses, the shame, the financial collapse. Is it enough now? What do you want me to say? I want you to say you'll stop, that you won't keep pushing until there's nothing left of us. I stopped weeks ago. The LinkedIn post was the end. Everything after that was just consequences unfolding. Not my hands, not anymore, but you set it in motion, he whispered. The moment you opened your door and we called you a beggar. I know, I said quietly. We did this, all of it, and now I'm asking. Wilma's 62. She's lost everything. Isn't that punishment enough? You think I'm punishing her now? I shook my head. I'm not even thinking about her anymore. Barton rose slowly, his cheap Target shoes bending awkwardly with the movement. Can I ask you something? Honestly, go ahead. Was it worth it? All of it, the planning, the revenge, the destruction. Do you feel better? I looked across the pond, watching the water distort the clouds drifting above. I feel tired. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. He hesitated, then said, I won't bother you again. Neither will Wilma. I'll make sure of it. And he's gone for good. He won't come back to Chicago. The lawsuits are dropped. It's over. Barton. I said. He paused. Yeah. I didn't ruin your lives. You ruined them yourselves when you decided to judge a man by his clothes instead of his character. That's the real lesson, not revenge character. He nodded, turned, and walked away with his new uncertain limp, growing smaller until he finally disappeared around the corner. I stayed on the bench for another 12 minutes timed on my watch, while families folded picnic blankets and the park slowly emptied. My phone buzzed. A message from Cassandra Walsh. The five of us are meeting with an attorney Friday. Civil suit against DeWitt for fraud. Will you testify if needed? I typed yes and sent it. Another buzz. Nina Pasnak, thank you for exposing him. You saved whoever would have been row 6. I didn't reply. I didn't know how to. The sun dipped lower. I stood, joints stiff, and walked to my car. At a stoplight on Clark Street, I saw a homeless man holding a cardboard sign. Anything helps. I rolled down my window and handed him $1.20. Thank you, sir. Bless you. The light changed. In the rear-view mirror I caught my own reflection. A 68-year-old man who looked older. Revenge had aged me. Maybe that was the cost no one warns you about. At home I made coffee, took Wilma's engagement ring from my desk drawer and set it on the counter. Evidence, artifact, symbol. I wasn't sure which. The doorbell rang at 6:42. Velma stood there, worried, tired, looking older than 29. Dad, she said, we need to talk about what comes next. 3 months later, I was cooking chicken, real cooking, not the half-hearted kind. Cloth napkins, china plates, properly roasted vegetables. Willow was home from Kenya for the first time in 18 months. Velma was coming too. Both daughters at my table for the first time since the engagement fell apart. The atmosphere was warm but cautious, as if we were all tiptoeing around invisible landmines. This chicken is actually good, Dad. Since when can you cook? Since you two moved out and I got tired of takeout. Velma smiled. He's being modest. He took classes at the community center. Cooking classes. Willow teased. Orville Thornton and community cooking classes. I said dryly, very useful, plus the instructor was 65 and single. Gotta keep the options open, Dad. Kidding, she was 70 and very married. We talked about safe topics, Willow's work, Velma's boutique job, my agency running normally. No one mentioned DeWitt or the Youngs until dessert. Willow set down her fork. Okay, we've talked about inventory systems for 20 minutes. Are we going to ignore the giant elephant in the room? What elephant? Velma's ex-fiancé was a con artist. Dad dismantled his life. The whole thing went viral, and we're chatting about chicken like that's normal. My hands shook slightly as I carried dishes to the sink. Arthritis flaring from weeks of stress. Willow noticed but said nothing. What do you want me to say? I asked. I want to know if it was worth it. Barton Young asked me the same thing 3 months ago. And what did you tell him? That I was tired. And now? Still tired. I admitted. Velma's voice softened. I never properly thanked you, Dad, for exposing him, for stopping me from making the worst mistake of my life. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. I was about to marry a man who saw me as a financial investment. You don't know the cost, I murmured. She blinked. What do you mean? You haven't dated in 4 months. You barely talk about your personal life. I destroyed your faith in relationships. You didn't destroy it. He did. You just showed me the truth. The truth can be its own cruelty. Maybe, she said quietly, but I'd rather know. After dinner, I took Willow to my watchroom and showed her my latest edition, a vintage Omega I'd bought at DeWitt's estate sale for $200, worth 15 times that. Perfect irony, I said. His trash became my treasure. She examined it, then set it down gently. This is sad, Dad. It's justice. It's a watch that reminds you every day that you spent 6 months destroying people. That's not justice. That's just sad. They destroyed themselves. Did they, or did you help? A long silence settled. Finally, I confessed what I had told no one. I became someone I didn't recognize, obsessed. I spent thousands digging up dirt, manipulated situations, released private information publicly. Yes, I protected Velma, but I could have simply talked. To her, instead, I chose destruction. They called you a beggar. Willow reminded me softly, and you turned their lives into a spectacle. Who went further? The doorbell interrupted us. A registered letter. I opened it at the kitchen table while both daughters watched. The typed message drained the color from my face. You won this round, old man. But the game isn't over. No signature, postmarked from Nevada. Velma snatched it. He's threatening you. We have to call the police. I folded the letter carefully and put it in a drawer. No, it's over. I'm done. Just like that. You're letting it go. What's the alternative? Chase him across states. Spend the rest of my life making sure he never succeeds at anything. Some people would. I'm not some people anymore. I was for a while. I'm choosing not to be now. We moved to the back porch. 3 cups of coffee cooled in the last of the autumn light. Silence stretched until Willow finally said, "You know what's strange? 6 months ago, we were planning a wedding. Now we're just here." "Here is better," Velma murmured. I nodded. My watch wasn't the Omega. It was my old Timex, chosen deliberately. Some treasures are sentimental, not valuable. My phone buzzed. Marcus Webb confirming. Meeting Monday morning. Business continues. Life continues. Are we okay, Dad? Velma asked quietly. We're different. I said, but we're okay. Different how? You've seen a part of me I didn't know I had. Someone capable of calculated cruelty. That changes things. You're also the man who saved me. She said, both things are true. So, Willow said, what happens now? Now I go back to running my agency. You go back to Kenya. Velma manages her boutique. Life continues. And the Youngs. They work at a small firm in Evanston. Live modestly. Stay away from my life. That's enough. 2 months earlier, Wilma had sent a 6-page handwritten apology, genuine, remorseful, accepting full responsibility. And now, at last, so was I. I had read her letter once, tucked it away, and never replied, not out of spite, just because I genuinely had nothing left to say. Barton still sends Christmas cards from Rogers Park. I don't answer those either, but I don't throw them out. They sit in the same drawer as Wilma's apology. 2 quiet reminders of a chapter I'm still not sure how to categorize. Evidence of what? Regret, closure, or simply the passage of time. As for Dit, if he ever comes back, I doubt it. But if he does, I'll deal with it when it happens. I won't spend my days waiting for the next threat or the next move. That isn't living. It's bracing for impact. We stayed on the porch until the streetlights flickered on, until mosquitoes forced us inside, until Willow stifled a yawn and Velma glanced at her watch. A normal evening, a normal family, except, of course, it wasn't normal at all. Everything had shifted subtly, permanently, and everyone sensed it, though no one dared say it aloud. The revenge had ended. Its echoes had not. That stayed with me. People imagine justice feels clean, righteous, healing. It doesn't. Justice doesn't mend the original wound. It simply replaces it with a different kind of scar. And scars, if you're lucky, fade with time. Maybe that's the closest thing to closure anyone ever gets. Maybe some truths, especially the heaviest ones, are meant to be carried quietly. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. And when you're ready for the next story, just click the box on the left.